a little bit though from the top.
Who's his? Okay.
There you go. You're good.
Okay, we're live with the second hour. Welcome to the second hour, everybody. Again, hats off to everybody supporting what we're doing. You guys are awesome. We had some people support the Patreon last week when we were streaming live. Somebody came in and gave $100 a month on Patreon. That's crazy. That blew me away. I was like, what?
Wow.
First time for everything. All the new members we have, man, thank you guys for real. I'm going to say it every time, but yeah. We left off talking about the hierarchy and the feminine and the masculine, and I mentioned the little man syndrome. These little guys in these big trucks with the loud pipes and sitting up real high, man. We were kind of going back to what you were saying about people wanting to be above people, or even the church situation where they wanted to be on that top tier platform.
There's something about literally the physical representation of aboveness. Like the fact that when even us as musicians do a show, there's this stage, you know what I'm saying? There's always, which I guess you could say, oh, that's just so people can see. But a lot of times they're just extremely high. If you go to a festival stage, they're way higher than it's really even necessary, to the point that people are literally looking up like this. There's something about us as humans that we just love feeling above, even if that is the actual literal physical representation of aboveness.
Yeah.
I got bullied when I was a little kid. And mind you, this is just another little kid bullying me, so no judgment on him for being a little kid. But just to show how deeply entrenched that is into our brains, he used to tell me to like get on my knees. You know what I'm saying? And just get down and like eat dirt and stuff. Like I got bullied real bad in like second grade.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like 8 or 7 or something. You know, I was skinny and whatever. And yeah, and he would tell me to just get down on my knees because for whatever reason, it just made him feel better to see himself as physically higher up than me, you know, and that's real deep. Like I said, we got a lot of psychological issues going on.
Yeah.
It's
I agree. There's definitely a reoccurring theme of systemic patriarchal inclinations in our society, in our day and age, where we're still seeing that, you know, even with a lot of these women movements and civil rights, and you know, we still see that women are still being underpaid. You know, women are still underrepresented in politics.
And people think the pay gap is not a real thing. It is a real thing. It is a real thing. I get a billion comments of people saying that is not a real thing. It is absolutely a real thing.
Yeah, and not just that, but the way they internalize that psychologically about a woman. I was watching one of your videos. I was kind of blown away by that. It's just historically the way, even with Paul, the Pauline scriptures, the way he put out a lot of doctrine about how women are supposed to be subservient to men.
That's crazy, right?
I was blown away by that. But going off of that, I wanted to get your take on the Council of Nicaea. And I've been studying it, not extensively, but from what I'm hearing is in Rome and Antioch, a lot of these bishops had patriarchal inclinations, and they removed a lot of the goddess, the female interactions in the Bible, and they made it more patriarchal oriented. So the reason why we see a lot of this talking down to women is because of the way they edited the scriptures. Moreover, how they remove certain gospels, like the Gospel of Mary and the Book of Enoch, and you know, all these extra biblical canons that are not a part of the Bible. I just want to get your take on that and see what you've researched and what your thoughts are on that, and the way it's led to the way we see women in this day and age.
Okay, well, first off, this is a two-tiered question for me. So I was having a conversation with one of the most intelligent human beings that I know, period, which is a guy by the name of Benjamin Earl Turner. He's a rapper. You guys can check him out. He's amazing, like literally extraordinary. And he's one of my best friends. And so, yeah, we always talk about the people always talk about the Council of Nicaea. Oh, yeah, they took all of these books out of the Bible. But let's go to the question before that, which is, who decided that all of these random books and letters and diaries were the word of God, right? So even before we talk about what was taken out of the Bible, we even put this together and called it a Bible, right? Yeah. It's just like the Corinthians is literally a letter from Paul to the people of Corinth, the church of Corinth, and telling them that he thinks that they should do this. Mind you, Paul was not a real apostle. He self-appointed himself as that, said he got a vision of God and now he's an apostle, right? And so he wrote half the damn New Testament. And so it's just like literally self-appointed himself to do so. So who decided to take his personal letters that he wrote to the Church of Corinth and call this the immutable word of God, right?
Yeah.
So before we even talk about them taking scriptures out of the Bible, let's talk about whose idea was it to just put all of this random stuff together and call it the holy word?
Yeah.
Right? Just somebody letters to people and somebody personally diaries. Psalms was literally somebody's like writing book that they was writing songs in, and somebody called this the word of God. Who decided that?
Well, I think David, King David, wrote a lot of the Psalms through his trials and tribulations.
I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. I'm not saying that I believe it, but there is a huge movement, a fringe movement, let's say that, of people who believe that the Apostle Paul is the Antichrist spoken of in the scriptures. Like they believe that all the prophecies about this person who's coming to change the laws and change the dates and it's so crazy if you listen to them, how they can break it down. There's a movement of people who believe that he is the Antichrist.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I never heard that one.
Yeah, it's deep. It's deep.
I can dig it because it's just like he literally self-appointed himself. Yeah. Like you can read it right in the Bible that this is just a random dude that never even met Jesus. Yeah. Right? Like never met him. Just talking stories about what he thinks should be done, and we calling this the immutable word of God.
We should go further back, and maybe to the viewers that we have right now and the viewers that may watch this later, maybe go even further back and talk about Sumerian culture and the way that Adam and the way that a lot of this biblical canon was influenced by that culture. I don't know if you want to enlighten people.
There are a lot of people that, like, mind you, the number one thing that I will always say is that I know nothing. The only thing that I know is that I know nothing, right? You know what I'm saying? But from what I've learned, there is countless evidence to support the idea that the entire Bible is just a gigantic plagiarized thing, right? That Jesus literally could really be Heru or Horus, you know, that all of the people and characters in the Bible may not have ever actually walked Earth, you know, and then there's a lot of context to say that they did, right? Yeah. But then when we look at the Sumerian text and we look at the stories of the Anunnaki and how much the Enuma Elish directly correlates with Genesis, and it was written like 5,000 years prior to it, and it's damn near the exact same story. There's just so many questions. It's just a myriad just of disturbing concepts that it would just take forever. Like me and my friend Benjamin, the same person I was talking about, said that in actuality, to be a Christian in 2016, truthfully, you should be a historian or a scholar. Yeah. Because if you're not like a historian, there's no way you could really understand this, right? Like, to even think of the context 3,000 years ago of certain words, how can we even fathom that? Like this, it was originally written in like archaic and then translated to Hebrew and then translated to 1st century Greek and then 2nd century Greek and then Latin and then Italian and then English. You feel what I'm saying? How insanely far away we are from all of this that how do we know anything about this thing, right? How can we really honestly say we know anything unless we like an actual historian? You know,
but even then, it's still biased from like whatever you've already, like the school of thought you come from, right? It's still biased. You know,
about like King James, right, which is the iteration of the Bible that thereby created all these translations that we have now. Like everybody knows this was a warmongering, powerful person who literally, like, how owned do you have to be to get your own version of the holy text, right? Like, how powerful do you have to be like, this is the King James version?
Well, you know his other book, right?
Huh?
You know his other book, right?
What?
He's got a book on demonology.
Oh, yeah, no, I heard about that.
I haven't read. I want to read it, though, because I'm big on demonology and I'm big on the spirit realm, and I haven't read it yet. But I just found out about that. Yeah, he had another book.
And so to even think about the intent, and this is what I was talking about with Benjamin, to even think about the intentions of the people that translate the Bible, like the Bible was probably translated first to English in like the 1500s, right?
Yeah.
In the 1500s in England, how many people, how rich did you have to be to even know how to read?
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
How powerful did you have to be to even know how to read? And we're not talking about just the regular people that can read, but not only can you read, but you know how to read archaic in Hebrew and translate it into English. How powerful did you have to be to even be in that position to be the translator, right? So really think about what were the intentions behind people that were unimaginably powerful and educated in order to even be able to translate this.
Coming from the background also that history is interpreted by the victor, right? So it's
exactly.
Moreover, we're having a large exclusion of the individuals who have lost or who have been oppressed or marginalized historically. So we're hearing, more than likely hearing the story of the victor.
What can we ever say about the Bible and call it truth? How many corrupt hands did it literally have to go through to get to us? Like there's no way that we can even imagine that the historical context of this Bible did not go through immense corruption, despite the corruption that we already know of, like the Council of Nicaea, right? So
to truly understand the Bible and to truly understand the state of affairs that we're in today in this day and age, the way how dysfunctional things are, we have to first come from the perspective, would you agree that the Bible is highly edited, is not complete, and is
it has to be
highly flawed?
It doesn't even, is completely illogical. This is the thing. This is how deep, this is the brainwashing aspect of Christianity that I don't like. Because there are many Christians that will argue, well, with God, anything is possible, right? So all the good stuff still got through us, and that was the divine order of God. Even though it went through all of these bad people's hands, still this book that was given to us is the holy word meant to enrich us and blah, 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 blah. And that's that side of Christianity that I don't like, because because when you just say, well, but God, now you got an answer to everything, right? Now you can literally forget logic, suspend logic, and just say, but God. And I don't like that idea, because we got to be realistic. There's no way that book is not corrupt.
I think they're just standing for the beautiful stuff that spoke to them through it, right? Even though whether it's got a lot of corruption in it, or we're talking about the wars and the killings and the rapings and pillagings and stuff like that, trying to defend that, even though they might not do it, they still are going to try to defend the stuff that spoke to them, those standalone scriptures, with God all things are possible. That can help get you through a hard time or whatever, right? Most of these people, like you're saying, in the Jesus video that you made, like most of these people, they don't know anything. They are the 85% or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So they really don't.
And we shouldn't approach that with judgment now. And I don't think that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But we need
a level of discernment as well,
That's just what it is. A lot of people are going to most people aren't going to be a historian, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But we, as the people that are seeking this knowledge, need to make it readily available for the people that ain't gonna go out of their way to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That's what we do these podcasts and stuff for, man. Because like people start searching, people start having encounters and spiritual encounters or whatever, and they don't have nobody to talk to. They go to their pastor and try to talk to him about maybe some things that are happening outside the Bible or even within the Bible, but their church doesn't agree with it or whatever. So they don't have nobody to talk to. So we have like a lot of young people who are kind of like displaced, and they're looking for leaders, and they're looking for people to just talk to or hear like a similar story, man. So that's what's crazy about this podcast. And when we started out just putting our necks out there to talk about aliens and talk about all of these encounters and doing Kundalini yoga as a Christian, you know what I'm saying? Like other people are having this experience and seeing God in all religions. And if you can't see God in all, then you can't see God at all, man. I truly, truly believe that. So there's just a lot of people, man, who they hold on to the good. And I mean,
there's a lot of Christian apologetics out there that try to justify some of these things. And a lot of that, I get lost in it, because it gets a little too extreme. But one of the reoccurring themes that I haven't yet not dropped out, and I think it still plays a very important role, is the Genesis 6 narrative. have you researched anything about the fallen, the Nephilim, how many of these tribes may have been warring against a bloodline that was tampered by the fallen, the genetic modifiers of the bloodline? A lot of, I don't know if you know who Dr. Michael Heiser is. Dr. Michael Heiser has been researching this in one of his books called Returning to Hermon, and a lot of apologists speak about these tampered bloodlines, or these Nephilim, how a lot of these tribes had that spirit that was worshiping Baal or child sacrificing, and that a lot of these chosen tribes by Jehovah or Yahweh were called to, bring genocide to these tampered bloodlines or to these fallen tribes. Have you ever come at it from that perspective?
I mean, I've learned some things about the Nephilim or Nephilim, whatever however you choose to pronounce it, and the idea that, people, demons, or fallen angels, whichever you prefer them, mated with humans and then created these giants and all of these things, and thereby there is evil and wicked bloodlines within and amongst the people. But then you can go to the other side of conspiracy land, and I'm sure you guys aren't unfamiliar with it, that what if the entire Bible is a gigantic alien story? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of stuff that hints towards that as a potential possibility, that if you were to read this and literally just objectively read certain scriptures, I could point out scriptures to you right now that if you were to read them objectively, it would sound like it was clearly they're talking about a UFO. Clearly they're talking about alien, right?
Ezekiel's wheel.
Ezekiel 1. If anybody reads Ezekiel 1, and I'm just talking like, you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. You don't have to be anything. If you just objectively read Ezekiel 1, there's no way that you can read it without clearly saying that, man, this sounds like they're talking about aliens.
This is something, though, that Derek really specializes in, because, I mean, I know that a lot of the Elohim and a lot of the children of God, though, also traveled through the wheels of the divine, through the Brahmanas, through the stars.
Chariots of fire. Cloud by day, fire by night.
Maybe this ain't God.
Have you ever approached the Bible in that sense, not just in the sense that it may not be true, but that it may be true, but the context of it has not been interpreted completely?
Absolutely. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I have a halfway inclination, like I said, I'm not saying that I actually subscribe to this, but it makes just as much sense, almost more sense in some cases, that this entire book could literally be a gigantic alien story.
Have you had any encounters? Have you had any alien encounters or UFO encounters?
No, and I don't want not one of them. I would never want it. Never. Not ready for that. Yeah, maybe one day, but I am not ready for that.
Hey, when you're ready, man.
Watching this podcast, do not come talking to me.
What do you think these aliens are? If you could take a wild guess, are they good? Are they bad? If they are out there, and we know that there is something out there.
Yeah.
What do you think they are? Are they good intention? Are they bad intention?
I think they're just like humans. I think if we take the book of the Bible and say that the God of Israel was actually an alien, and we say he wanted to come down to earth, if we take the Anunnaki Sumerian approach and say he wanted to come down to earth and build a slave race, it would so many things make more sense now, because if this is the creator of the universe, it doesn't make sense to put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden if you knew that they were going to sin against you and eat the tree of knowledge and then get kicked out. Why would you put them there in the first place if you already knew that? Unless you didn't know that. And if you weren't an almighty, all-knowing being, and you were just a intelligent genetic engineer, and you didn't expect the humans to do that, now they did that. Because it wouldn't make sense for the creator of the universe to let the whole earth get populated and then destroy it in a flood and only keep Noah and his 7 friends. That doesn't make sense if you're the creator, because you could have just made them where they didn't sin against you in the first place.
But that's where the apologists will come in and say, well, the flood, was a way of cleansing that fallen bloodline, or the bloodline that was of the spirit of the fallen, and I'm not completely subscribing to that, but
I could just be an alien that messed up and wanted to start over. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and that's super, like, you know, that's real off the deep end of the conspiracy theories. But then again, it's
But
not.
you've got to be able to hold on to everything. It's the mark of a wise man that you're able to hold on to these ideas without holding them to be true, right? So
You got all the books and all the quotes that I use on a daily basis. That's how
you got to be able to hold on to everything without completely accepting it. You know,
that is the mark of an intelligent man, is to be able to consider an idea without actually believing it. That's
I agree.
Hold on.
That's beautiful. So, Derek, I know you wanted to kind of go in the direction of maybe expand on this, or do you want to go in the direction of entheogens and?
Well, we got a question.
Some of the fans' questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, we got one that's here now over here in the second hour. Grim wants to know if you believe in evolution. What are your thoughts on evolution? I don't know what, like, I know that's a compacted word. Like, what type of evolution?
My motto in life is I believe everything is equally true and false. Like, put that on my tombstone. I believe the Bible is true. I believe that evolution is true. I believe that all of this is true, but like Leo said, we are just looking at it in the wrong context. I believe that we probably did evolve from apes, which evolved from a lesser species, that all the way back to the initial bacteria that was on the earth or whatever. It makes sense. There is a lot of evidence to support that. Like, Darwin is evidence upon evidence to show that we came from lesser and lesser beings that eventually developed up to where we are right now. You know, now who's to say that when he got all the way up to the ape, then God or alien or whatever genetically modified, and here goes humans. You know what I'm saying? You can mix them both, or you could say that it came all the way to the ape, and then we had a whole earth populated with everything but humans, and then God came and populated the earth with humans. We could say that I believe that science and spirituality, and even science and religion, are not mutually exclusive. So, in short, yes, I think evolution is real.
That was something I wanted to ask you too, to expand on. Do you think that science could ever truly accept spirituality, and spirituality could ever accept science? Is there ever going to be a merging?
I mean, that's my goal in life, so of course I'm gonna say yeah.
I know most people say no, like they're gonna die hard. They'll rebuke it.
Yeah, I think they hold on to their.
I
know that's where we come in, though. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. I am walking strong in equally science and equally spirituality, and
it's
I want people.
Because someone who's come really close to that recently. I don't know if you know who Nassim Haramein is.
No.
He studies fractals,
sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry, how many different cultures have these same reoccurring symbols that are reflections of our sacred geometric cells, our cellular structures, our atoms. You know,
Albert Einstein's quote is, "Science without religion is lame, and religion without science is blind." And that's just real. Like, we have to, like, there's no way, like, being an atheist and being a scientist almost seems like a contradiction to me, right? Because science is based off of observation and then hypothesis, right? So how can you truthfully be a self-respecting scientist and say that even though 85% of Earth have been spiritual believers since literally the foundation and the beginning of humankind, literally every ancient civilization ever that has made these intricate, amazing, extraordinary pyramids, literally 100% of them have stuff on the walls about deities and gods and stuff. There's no way that you could truthfully be a self-respecting scientist and say all these people just lying, all these people just delusional. There's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as demons. Everybody.
One of the things that bothers me that I've been noticing recently is the destruction of a lot of art. You know, all of these sacred cultural landscapes. Because of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, that, you know, American.
That's the first thing they did.
Have you know, led the charge in, and somehow ISIS is now destroying a lot of the Sumerian statues.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
A lot of the history that's being destroyed. Why are they removing the history?
Isn't that the first thing they like? You know what I'm saying? They did when they took over a people, though, was they go to the holy relics and destroy them.
Exactly.
Yeah, even in the scriptures, they went and found the idols and the statues and overthrew them. So we're still doing that, going into Iraq and Afghanistan. And there's videos of us taking tanks through their holy places and like the ancient Sumerian stuff, like all tearing all that stuff up. Even
Makes sense. I mean, think about the fact that every religion, every historical context that we have on Earth leads back to the Middle East. Everything leads back to
Sumerian culture.
Egyptian, the Gaza Strip, all of that stuff, Syria, Iraq,
India, all of it. Yeah.
Like, everything that we have leads back to there. And coincidentally, since ever, it's always war right there. It's something right over there that is like
Stargate.
Like real talk.
Yeah.
Like the answers to everything clearly are over there, because it's got to be other reasons that it's always.
I heard a wild theory, and I don't know, this is kind of mind perplexing, is that when, during Pangea, before the breaking of the continents, that actually the cradle of life was actually Australia with the Aboriginals. And there's a lot of archaeological findings there that are showing carbon dating that exceeds what they're finding in Africa. So I don't know, maybe, well, it's subjective where really anything ever really started, but I find it interesting that a lot of these archaeological finds that they're finding in Australia, it's mind altering. And the fact that they, what they've done to the Aboriginals historically, to the same way they've done historically in the United States, Yeah. And with the British monarch having almost control of 3/4 of the entire world at one point, right?
Yeah, and so the super pro-black Hotep people, have this whole
Brother Polite.
right, people like that, but I don't even trust them though. But people on that whole little wave have this whole thing like the black woman is God, right?
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that concept, not to say that I subscribe to it, but the interesting thing about the whole concept of the black woman is God is it's funny that since the beginning of whatever we can remember, we got to hold down women and we got to hold down black people. The people that have always been tormented on this earth has been the darker complected people or the women. So there is something divine about dark complected women, historically speaking. They are absolutely the most marginalized group on earth is black women by a trillion billion long shot. And that's been that way since ever. And it makes you think, like, what is it about black women that our earth is afraid of? Why do we have to keep our foot in the neck of the black woman since the beginning of time, or the beginning of human history?
Yeah.
Have you studied at all the idea of the Illuminati being originating from African culture, and that it was basically culturally appropriated by the white people to gain some type of wisdom background? Have you looked into that?
You know what I'm saying? Like, what haven't?
Because we are the Illuminati.
Culturally appropriated. It's just like everyone knows. Like, you can read that Plato and Aristotle and all of them literally attended Egyptian mystery schools. Like, they write it themselves. In my trips to Egypt, I learned this. You dig what I'm saying? Like, niggas was coming from Greece, going to Egypt to learn all of this knowledge from the black people, and then coming back from Greece. And then when they brought too much cool knowledge to Greece, Alexander the Great was like, you know what? I need to go over there and take all that shit.
Yeah.
So Alexander the Great goes back to Egypt and just dominates the whole joint and creates Alexandria, you know what I'm saying? And marries Cleopatra, you know what I'm saying? So clearly white people were taking African knowledge and using that mystery school knowledge to their own benefit, like clearly. You know what I'm saying? Look at the American dollar bill with like all these Egyptian signs on it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so expanding on what you're talking about, going towards masonry, Masonic initiation, the Masons, that's all appropriation then.
I mean, who's to know? You know what I'm saying? Unless you're a Mason.
Depends on who you ask. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like the Masons, like, I'm certain will tell you that they are the makers of all of this. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, everybody got their own little personal brainwashing. You know what I'm saying? Like, own little narrative that they tell themselves. I seriously doubt the Masons will proclaim that they stole anything from Africans. You know what I'm saying? I don't know though. I'm not a Mason. You know, I am in a fraternity that is based in Egyptian knowledge, Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yeah.
And but it's like we ain't doing nothing like how Masons do it. You know what I'm saying? We get way less knowledge and stuff than they probably get.
It's funny because the Masons, they worship, it's all Cometian culture. It's all surrounded around Cometian and Kabbalistic culture.
Absolutely.
And the irony is, historically though, and I have a lot of friends who are Masons, a lot of people that are of color who are Masons now, but historically it's always been predominantly white and patriarchal, man.
No, they won't even greet a black Mason.
Yeah.
So
I mean, nowadays they've kind of given in a little bit. A friend of mine.
I mean, you got some of them. I talked to a guy recently, and I actually got him to open up, and I actually mentioned to him about Manly P. Hall. I was trying to pick his brain. I'm like, I'm a big Manly P. Hall fan. He had no idea who Manly P. Hall was. He thought I said P. Hall as in Prince Hall.
Prince Hall.
Which is the Black Masons, right? And he's like, no, if there's any Prince Hall Masons, any Black Masons, we do not recognize them. He said if we see them in an elevator, we are to turn our backs towards them. So it's still like this bigotry, racist stuff, even in those circles.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I don't know nothing about that. I do know that I got not close friends, but decently close friends that are high-ranking Masons that are Black, that got the juice. You know what I'm saying? They can do some powerful stuff because they're Masons. So, don't get it twisted. Even the Black Masons, they own out here. Like, they definitely own.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what they believe is that that knowledge came from Babel, right? And that's where they kind of.
And so, this is the thing. I don't have any real, hold-ups about the Masons. I'm not one of those people like Freemasons, are the evil scum of the earth and they're destroying the whole planet. I just know that too many presidents of the United States of America were Masons for me to ever want to be a Mason. Yeah. Just people that have been the presidents of this country tend to not be that great people.
Yeah.
So I couldn't respect myself saying I'm in the same organization as George Washington. I just couldn't. So that's just me.
There's too many of these male-oriented clubs historically, like the Order of the Good Fellows or the Odd Fellows, that
the Elks
or the Skull and Bones. There's too many of these historically that have just led to me being very discouraged by it. But I also know that they're not completely bad people. They're very charitable. They're all about supporting the advancement of society, the infrastructure, doing things for the better. But I think there definitely has been an infiltration. And,
so like I said, I don't know nothing about their whole little situation. What I will say is, not all fraternities have those, evil undertones or intentions. For example, my fraternity was an organization started by 7 Black men at a white college in order to support Black men. My organization was started in 1906.
That's a good number too, 7.
Right. Think of how radical you have to be a Black man and start an organization in 1906 in America. You know what I'm saying? How much you are going against everything. So the reason why I wanted to be a part of this organization, side note, W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall, all of them are alphas. Cornel West, all alphas. Mm-hmm. And, the Alpha Phi Alpha is an organization that was about empowering Black people when we literally had nothing. This is 1906, 40 years after slavery. Like, we were slaves 40 years ago. And Black people and Black men said, we're going to unite together and try to support one another. So that's why I joined my organization. As far as the Masons and all that other stuff, sometimes it seems like it might be some sinister undertones to those things. I don't know, though, because I'm not one. So I don't delve into that too much.
No, that's noble of you to be a part of Alpha Phi Alpha, man. My wife's good friend that co-worker was Alpha Phi Alpha, but that's not. What's the opposite to Alpha Phi Alpha for the sorority?
AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Alpha Kappa Alpha, yeah.
And that was Rosa Parks and a lot of great Black women that were part of that organization. So yeah, those organizations were pretty much organizations that were created for the sustainability of the Black culture when we were getting attacked more than ever. This is literally right fresh out of slavery, right? You know, so yeah, they're pretty good. But as far as these rule the world organizations, I keep my distance.
Maybe we should talk a little bit about your music, man. What you're doing with Archduke.
Spit a verse.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about it. Do you want to incorporate a lot of what you're learning and a lot of your wisdom into it to help enlighten people? Well, what's your what are you up to?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it is. Archduke is me and my best friend named Jacob Denzel, and we just make music about feelings. You know what I'm saying? About whatever we feel in that moment. Everything is about energy, and everything is energy. Everything is a vibe. Everything is just how you feel. So we make feel music, you know.
There was something about friend or foe, man, that got me feeling. I'm like, wait, friend or foe?
You heard that
their eyes are turning. I'm like, wait, what? I want to ask you, what was the inclination behind that? Like, what was the thought process?
So cool that you saw that video. That's crazy. It wasn't no Archduke at that time. That was just Jacob's video, like when he was a solo artist, and I was just in it. That's so crazy that you researched that. Yeah, but yeah, that was just that was like a little story that he made about his girlfriend at the time, and it was just
that's crazy.
Like,
also, I'm gonna be happy, man. I don't know if you want to talk about a little bit of that, man. That's very uplifting.
That's Archduke. That was our first song that kind of got us all the notoriety. You know what I'm saying? Before I even started putting out my videos, like that's where our notoriety started, was with that song. You know, and the refrain or the bridge of that song, you know, is speaking to the atmosphere. You know, and that's what we talk about. It's about speaking life, about speaking love, about speaking positivity, about speaking empathy, about being great people and enjoying your life and demanding to the universe or to God your happiness, your contentment, you know, and greatly expressing that and sharing that energy. You smile to somebody, you give somebody a hug, you tell somebody they're amazing, tell somebody you love them, the world will get better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
What you working on now with it? Are y'all working on like a new project or what?
Yeah, well, we're about to drop We Were Kids.
Okay,
you know, which is literally our first two albums put together on one like deluxe edition thing, so that we can stream it on like Apple Music and Tidal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's Kids with Crowns and Concrete Garden put together. But after we release that, we got a lot of real intense music videos that are about to come out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, since our success, you know, we done got over 50 million views due to like virality in my viral educational videos. We're about to create music videos that are purposefully engineered towards virality. So we're gonna be doing some real out the box, real hippie, crazy things in our new videos. So I don't want to tell. I'm gonna just let you see it.
You can bait it out. You can tease people that.
You just did hippie.
There it is. Yeah.
Hippie stuff.
They're gonna be we're gonna do some intense concepts with our videos.
You gotta check out my music, man. I think you'll like it.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna check it out. Yeah, send me a link.
For sure. So did you guys open for Young Thug?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
That's what's up. How'd that go?
It was cool. It was a Young Thug, Lil Uzi. It was a festival. My friend
festival. Yeah.
It was this festival called Party and Peace. So it wasn't like us and Young Thug.
Yeah. Okay.
It was Young Thug, Lil Uzi Vert, Jacquees, Young Doll. You know, and so his idea with this festival, which was a brilliant idea, was to create a festival and have most of the headliners be what would be called quote unquote ratchet music, but still have a festival that was completely about peace and love and happiness, and show that we can listen to all that stuff and turn up and have fun and still be amazing people and do amazing things in the world. Because I like Young Thug. I listen to him all the time, despite the messages that are given in those songs, because they are good sound.
Have you heard the little parody somebody made of the old Young Thug song?
I haven't.
My boyfriend.
Nah,
you ain't heard that? It's so funny, man. It's so funny.
He's just an attention whore, which is
Yeah.
a lot of current media. People just do whatever they can to garner attention. You know,
Yeah.
Donald Trump, as much as people think Donald Trump is an imbecile, he's not an imbecile. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
Beyond understanding how intelligent Donald Trump is, because he purposed every single thing, every single bold statement.
Yeah.
This was just clever marketing.
Oh
like,
yeah. Hell yeah. All the tweets. All
of this stuff is so that like he got I was reading research about the fact that Donald Trump had over $2 billion worth of free advertising. Although he was the richest person in the ballot, he paid less for his campaign than any other person.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I noticed that.
he said these outlandish things. So he was, the news cycle is 24 hours. Literally, for the past year, he has been on your TV 24 hours.
Yeah.
Don't care how bad of a person he may be. He is a marketing genius, and that's why he's.
It's so weird that he played a part, because like the Donald Trump
you ever seen him act like that?
Exactly. No, this is somebody totally different. He's playing a character.
Never.
It's like somebody scripted that for him. Like the people who script these awesome TV shows that we sit at the edge of our seat and we want to watch them every week. Like those same type of people are scripting this stuff that we're watching on the television and these campaigns and stuff. And they got the American people by the balls.
It's just psychology. Everything is psychology.
Exactly.
You start studying into persuasion and influence and even hypnotism. Like people that study all of those type of things. Like and I don't mean
Freud, man.
Yeah.
Freud.
Right, all of this stuff is just
or even Freud's nephew, Bernays, with a lot of his advertisements,
colors, even the colors, the red and the blue.
Yeah,
it's something about the red and the blue, the Crips and the Bloods, you know what I'm saying, the Democrats, the Republicans, like the colors, all that stuff, dude.
Like how red and blue are always these juxtaposing colors. Like all of this stuff is science. It is deep.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian, but I also feel though that Christians are some of the most gullible, easily manipulated people.
Absolutely.
And I feel bad that a lot of these Christians were taken advantage of for the sake of
people, man.
An individual who has an economic, a neoliberal free market economic agenda that utilizes giving the masses, the Christian right, right in the conservative right, the abortion rights, selling to them, their tax-free agenda, giving everything they want to the Christians, but then that's just minuscule to the higher things that he wants to do economically. And I think that I feel bad for my heart hurts that a lot of these people just bought into that, because they're starting to see him turn around on everything he promised. He ain't doing nothing to Obamacare.
Yeah, he totally.
He's been imprisoning Hillary Clinton.
They've come too far together.
He's back on everything.
They've come too far together. This is structured.
It was just great marketing, man. Like it was just like we just got punked, like for real. Like
Ashton Kutcher's about to run out.
No,
there's
for real.
A camera there. There's a camera there.
He just
Truman Show.
And then, but me and Derek were talking before you got on, Leo, about there's just something that's just innately kind of in Christianity that kind of predisposes us to have fearful ways of thinking. And so if you start saying, "Oh, I'm going to save you from the scary Muslim terrorists, or the scary Mexicans that are going to take your job, or scary North Korea that's going to bomb you," or I'm saying all of these things to hint at the natural fear that you've gotten through your life.
Mahatma Gandhi said it best. I like your Christians. I don't like your. Or I like your Christ. I don't like your Christians. Your Christians are so unlike your Christ.
Yeah.
He hit it right on the nail.
Yeah.
A lot of Christians are not even like Christ. They're not Christ-centered.
They're scared. They're just scared.
Scary, man. But on a positive note, because I know we're reaching the end of this segment, what do you want to kind of plug in here, and what kind of hope do you want to spread to the people that are reaching out to this video?
Love somebody, man. Love somebody. Like that's like it's so. Me and Derek were saying earlier. It's so simple. You and me, Leo, Derek, Charity, everybody, we are equal. No one needs to be above someone else. No one needs to submit to anyone else's dominance? What if we could really look at everybody else and everything else as we look at ourselves? What if we could really do that? That one thing, that one idea of true empathy, of true selflessness, would literally create a utopian society. There is enough money on earth to feed everybody. There is enough water on earth to sustain everyone's life. There are almost more abandoned houses in America than there are homeless people, right?
Yeah.
You know, we can actively change the world. This is not a pipe dream. Bernie Sanders was not a guy who was just talking out of his ass.
Crazy person, yeah.
And he was still just going slight work at it. He was going as much as he could go at it to still be a presidential nominee.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that even more radical than Bernie Sanders, like a Christ-like, or even if you don't want to proclaim Christ's name, a life of love and peace and contentment amongst all people is actually possible. It just starts with the removal of this desire to be better than people, this removal of selfishness. Just share, just love, just be caring. If you know that, then that's all I care about.
I gotta send you some of that Jock Fresco stuff for real.
Yeah, man.
I think you'll like them.
No doubt, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should definitely, and I mean, check out Howard Zinn, man. I think you'd really like his a lot of what he puts out there. I was required to read that as a sociological student, and Howard Zinn, he goes hand in hand with Paulo Freire.
Sound good, man. Well, I appreciate y'all so much for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, man.
You're great. You're a great interviewee, man. I'm telling you, we definitely got to get you back on here to share some more knowledge and whatever else you got in the pipeline, whatever else you're working on.
Sound good. Well, I'll talk to y'all soon in the future, man. I love both of y'all.
Yeah, brother, we love you too, man. Peace and shalom, and we will get back with you soon. Thanks everybody for watching this episode, and we will see you guys next week. Much love. Peace.
Peace.